Hello everyone, today I want to collect the final two blueprints we need for the furnace, which are electronics as well as chemicals. Now I took a quick look at the interactive map, and it should be somewhere up here apparently. Along the way there should also be a huge deposit of titanium and wolfram there, so what I was planning is creating a small base there that creates the rotors as well as stabilizers. It should be a very quick setup, and then we just have all the dispatchers go to these 2 points, because that way we don't have to go back there. So I guess let's get going. It's gonna be quite the walk, because it's basically on the other side of the map. Now I did see that there were 2 locations for both of these blueprints. And one was on that side, which I think was a little closer. However, seeing as this one had the titanium and wolfram, I decided to take this route instead. And I guess on the way we may as well uncorrupt this core. Why grass floating here? You can already see the infected cloud over there in the distance. I wonder if that actually attracts enemies as well. Someone in the video, when I was building this, spotted where the infection spot was. Okay, good. He says you can relax, meaning no more enemies. They didn't deal that much damage, that's good. Now, I kind of flicked my camera up and down real quick, but it's right there. There we go. Now we can hold to disinfect. We can demolish this. And that as well. I didn't even see that there were helium veins last time. That's interesting. Not what I expected. Is this the wolfram titanium spot? Yes. Nice. You can see this nice open land. I was planning on using this for something else, but I mean, stabilizers and rotors go so super slow. We may as well place those here. We're probably going to need a second core. Ooh, there's actually a better... Yeah, there's infected guys. There's a better titanium spot over there. Now, I might just move the core about. The more titanium we can pull, the better, because that is like the main thing we need for both the items. And seeing as they only create one every 6 seconds, we are going to need a lot. Alright, there we go. We can now calmly do our things. I guess let's place the base core up here. And then the other one can be placed somewhere over there in the middle, so it can get some of the wolfram. But then up next, we need some ore extraction. Alright, let's see, we have 5 extractors. I'm gonna go back down here. And up to how much should we split this? I think for good speed, per extractor, we're going to need 2 smelters.
I'm detecting increased Rupture activity.
Oh, come on.
Prepare for a
It kicked me out of the building menu, or out of the drone menu, because Rupture is exploding. How much do we have left? Not that many basic building materials. We actually went through a lot more than I expected. That's not really great, because that probably means we have to go back here. Yeah, the fabricators are gonna cost us 140. We cannot afford that many. We can't even place enough fabricators down for all the rods. And then we still have wolfram on the other side, because we need wolfram wire too. Well, if anything though, this is actually pretty good, because that means if we rush over, we can quickly loot the bases without all the buggies. Then we can go back to base, collect up as many of the basic builder materials as we can, and then go back here. Alright, let's see, how many can we place? Not enough resources, so that's where it's gonna stop. There was 5 of them. But at least it can start working on the titanium rods while we're gone. Alright, there we go. The titanium is flowing in. Let's head to our other destinations. Alright, it took a little while, but we are finally at our first destination. This was actually a lot harder to find. There's a giant mountain here. I guess it makes sense, I never saw it before. Let's see, ooh, he has an LEM, increased shield, a tablet. I'm not gonna read this right now. I'll probably do that during editing. Let's see, and this is where we find electronic, hell yeah. Ooh, and what was that? 7,000 data? That's pretty good. Alright, doesn't seem like there's much else here. This is actually hidden away pretty sneakily. The giant sulfur field. Alright, up next, we're gonna have to go a lot closer to the terraformation engine. It's basically heading towards that disk you see over there, but closer to the side over there. Alright, well, The bugs are coming back, so the next place is not going to be as easy. I also see something in the distance there. There seems to be a huge building, but it's beyond the green toxic mist. I'm guessing that is for a later update. Oh boy, they just suddenly popped up. We're being surrounded from both sides.
Arcadia 7 has finished regenerating.
Yeah, I've noticed, gal. Alright. I can already see more of them there. However, I think luckily, it should be in this crater here, right? Yes. Now, how dangerous is that gonna be? No real easy way out. There's a bunch of this fire grass. It's definitely gonna be a big ambush. Well, here's the storage box. And there that is. And then there's a tablet here. And I can hear a bunch of them. Throw grenade. And to get the heck out of here. That killed a fair amount. But not enough. Time for the machine gun. Come and get them, buggies. There's so many. Alright, I think with that we just have a couple acid boys left. So we may as well grab up all their stuff. And then go back home, I suppose. We gained a survival level. All I did was drink a box of juice. Though it did also intoxicate me, so... there is that. We can now have another LEM slot for survival though, so that is good. We'll have to see which ones we got back at base. Oh great, look what comes to greet us up here. These bugs, man, they're just everywhere on this planet. It's kind of crazy. This is a pretty good spot to hold them back. Right, I guess we do level up our combat with this. So maybe it's good that there's so many now. Alright, do we gain XP from the grenade? Because there's so many of them. Oh, now they're all infected. I didn't kill that many. It feels like we would kill a lot. But the grenade is less effective than you would expect. But I mean, it is a pretty damn good distraction, which probably why you have it. Alright, well, I still hear the music, but I don't see any of the bugs. You can see another huge structure in the distance there. So did we explore that already? Yeah, I imagine so. I think that's over here. Then I do think we saw that before as well, but that's beyond the toxic zone. It is kind of interesting that they already mapped out and built some of these locations, but you can't already go to them yet. You would have to wait for some updates. It makes the world feel a lot larger, and also, I guess, makes it feel a lot less random once you do get there. It isn't like suddenly a building pops up. Alright, because I don't know how many building materials we're going to need, I'm going to grab a ton of them. Because after I cleared up my inventory and put the blueprints into the recipe station, we're going to go back out and finish up that rotor and stabilizer system. We're going to need a ton of helium. And one of the things that was around there was a helium deposit. I'm going to place a quick receiver down, and then we have some at the base here whenever we need to. Because the other helium deposits, they're kind of busy doing their own thing. And then just in case, I'll be taking an extra stack of the intermediate building materials. Alright, I'm looking around. We get a couple LEMs that increases our HP. And then a couple that boosts our calorie as well as burst intake. But I did find this one, which increases the mining damage. I think we already have one on there, right? Yes. We have a second one. We should be able to mine the meteor hearts, hopefully a bit quicker. The neat thing, though, is once we have those stabilizers up and running, we can very quickly gather the levels for Griffith Blue. And that should allow us to get turrets, finally. We can defend this place a bit more. Alright, this might be a bit overkill, but I imagine it's enough for what we need. Then let's head all the way back to our base. I thought we placed down a second base core. It's not showing on the map for some reason. Maybe I placed it too far away from myself and it didn't update. Alright, we're at the helium, which was right next to where all the titanium wolfram was. We don't need many, so I might just place down like 1 or 2. And something I've noticed is it looks like they always give 8. So I'm guessing helium is just always maxed out, unlike the ore. Alright, helium has been set up. So something I noticed as I didn't power up the stabilizer and rotor receiver, that could potentially backfire, as the game doesn't always like to update. What is going on over there? Bugs, can you stop it? Alright, seems like everything is turning back to normal. I'm guessing, so it looks like they cannot fully infect the buildings, like besides the core. Alright, let's continue. Alright, so we got 10 fabricators going, which means 5 can be used to create rotors, and then the other 5 should be used for the stabilizers. However, that does mean we also need 5 wolfram wire. So we're gonna have to do the same thing over here. Alright, now the fun part is I hope we can place down a fair few of the fabricators, because I kind of want to split it up, and I'm gonna do that over here. Because this works pretty damn slow. So it needs 2 every 6 seconds. And it creates basically 2 every 4 seconds. So in the same time that we create 1 rotor, it creates, well, 3 of each. But then, of course, the next time it would have 6. So that means we could place 3 rotors on every single wire and rod. So we can have 15 rotors going, if my math checks out. Which is quite questionable. Because I don't even believe myself. Because that would be this many. Of course, the bugs would come out to play. Stop it. You guys are not welcome here. Alright, let's go test this out then real quick. I have 3 of them set up currently to do rotors. I mean, to be fair, it's going to be a hard thing to test out, seeing as they were already full. And that probably means it works. That's what I'm gonna say about that. The math checks out. Oh, come on, game. I keep being so confused every time it kicks me out of the drone menu. It just does not feel right. Right, well, time to hide in the shelter again. Alright, all of them have been connected. Just to the rotors, though. Now it's time to set all of these fabricators up to build those. Alright, so that is step 1 of the plan. So let's place 2 dispatchers down. Because they go so slow, I don't think we're going to need a dispatcher for every individual rotor fabricator. Technically, I think even 1 would honestly be enough, but it's better to have 2. That way it can also back up a bit better. Alright, these can go to rotors, as soon as that is powered anyway. And then hopefully we don't have to run back because of that annoying glitch. Alright, up next, stabilizers. We got 9 left in order to create those. And that does mean we have a bit too many rods being produced. But I guess in a way that is good, because that means we can house more in case we need to. Alright, all of them have been connected up. This will do stabilizers. All those bugs aren't good. Hey, get out of here, boys. The planet is fine for 2 bloody seconds, man. Alright, there we go. Everything has been linked up to a dispatcher. Alright, back at the base. Let's add a wind turbine to this. And now that it's running, we're also overheating. That's not great. Place a core amplifier down. There we go, now it's no longer overheating, and I heard that they landed. But there we go. We got stabilizers, as well as rotors here. Annoyingly, I was planning on placing down a couple orbital cargo launchers, but that might be a bit more difficult. However, I'm going to try and place down another base core around here. See if that does the trick. However, it might just be so close to the other one that it shares heat, because that is something they do. So for that reason, I'm going to place it slightly farther away. Does seem like it's fine, but as expected, we would need to be like all the way over here. Luckily, Rails doesn't cost any heat. And, well, honestly, I think this is probably way too much for how much we're creating. I'm gonna keep it to 3. But we were able to do inductors the entire time, too. Wait, Griffith Blue's already done with the stabilizers? Wait, hold up a second. Did I miss a notice? Because, I mean, inductors is something we also create. And we have been for a while. Oh yeah, Griffith Blue's already done. Next up, we're going to need stabilizers as well as inductors. Well, I mean, at this point, we already set up the stabilizers to go there, so we may as well, I suppose. And how are the rotors and stabilizers going? There's a decent amount of them in here, actually, for something that's hooked up to cargo launchers. And then the rotors are almost on their second full storage depot. That ain't too bad. Especially not compared to what it was before. But while we're here anyway, let's go place this down. Yeah, as expected, this one does not have an input. I'm guessing we really need to have the tower defense turret for that. And it takes standard ammo. Now the question is, do we have standard ammo unlocked in the Mega Press? And the answer is no. And why not? Because I don't think you can unlock those in here, right? Nope. Or do we unlock them maybe if we buy one of the weapons that requires that ammo type? We should have enough war bonds for this. So let's switch out this one for the Phantom, because that probably takes standard ammo. Aha, there we go, so now it's unlocked. That's also how we can unlock shotgun ammo then. But just in case, let's just unlock shotgun as well. So I think what I want to do next episode is set up a system for that. We don't really have the heat to do it here. I mean, technically we could. But if I'm going to place down defense towers, that's probably going to take up even more of the heat. Ooh, defense towers are more down than I thought. And also, yes, this one can be resupplied, so that's good. But this is ultimately what we want, is these kind of towers. So what I might just do is create all the ammo over at our spawn base. That is where we're also creating the basic building materials. So that is my plan for next episode. And then once we have the turrets and everything in hand, we go take on a couple of those map towers, or map beacons, the geoscanners, and hopefully unlock a decent chunk of the map. Also, if you're curious, from all the building materials I took with me, we don't actually have that much left, so even though it looked like an absolute ton, it kinda wasn't. But with that, I'm gonna be leaving it off over here. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye everyone.